Honourable members, I have received correspondence from the member for Arnhem as follows. I propose for discussion this day the following definite matter of public importance. The ongoing erosion of choice and continuity of care in the Northern Territory maternity services. The letter is signed by the member for Arnhem. Is discussion supported? There have been 4 people. Discussion is supported. I call the member for Arnhem.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. Maternity services in Darwin have descended into chaos. The situation is absolutely unacceptable for Territory women, for Territory families and our newest Territorians, our Territory babies, who have been left without choice and without continuity of care when it comes to important maternity services. And Mr Deputy Speaker, they deserve much better. And let me be very clear. This is in no way a reflection on our amazing qualified professionals who work in maternity health. Our nurses, our midwives, our obstetricians, our specialist support staff, and even our important administrative officers. Mr Deputy Speaker, all of these professionals continue to do an incredible job in the most difficult circumstances. Just like Territory women and families, our professionals have also been casualties of this litany of stuff-ups, dithering and missed opportunities and poor decision-making by the CLP government. It is now almost 12 months, Mr Deputy Speaker, since Healthscope announced it was closing the doors on its private maternity service in Darwin. 12 months, Mr Deputy Speaker, and in that time the situation has gone from bad to worse. This is where we are at, Mr Deputy Speaker, and there's no way that the Minister for Health can deny the following facts. We now have no private obstetricians operating in Darwin, the capital of the Northern Territory. These professionals have been forced to shut up shop because they are concerned that they cannot provide Territory women and their families with the care that they deserve given the current circumstances and situation of NT Health. A $1.1 million contract for private midwifery services is on hold indefinitely because of concerns over the service provider. The CLP's luxury retreat model has been slammed as unsafe by medical professionals who are concerned about the low levels of care that Territory women are receiving under this arrangement that the CLP has concocted. There is no 24/7 on-site care, putting women and their babies at risk should complications arise, Mr Deputy Speaker. And when they do, women are having to get in an ambulance back to the hospital to receive that most vital care. The public maternity ward is under enormous pressure, with our incredible health staff caring and working overtime to ensure that they can deal with the demand and at times struggling to find safe private spaces for women to have their babies here in the Territory. The home birthing unit is understaffed, forcing women to have to choose this option into the public system who have their babies, who have chosen the home birth option to now have their babies in the public health system through the hospitals, and in some circumstances when they're already in labour. And despite this situation, the CLP can't get their act together, Mr Deputy Speaker, in order to provide a plan to the federal government for $10 million that has been committed to the Territory in terms of infrastructure upgrades that are meant to address the gaps in those important maternity services at the Royal Darwin Hospital, or RDH. Mr Deputy Speaker, the situation is completely and utterly unacceptable for any woman, their family and their expected babies. And I do challenge the Health Minister to refute these facts, but I actually do not want him to waste time defending the indefensible. Instead, I would urge the Health Minister, Mr Deputy Speaker, to focus on fixing this horrendous situation for the very sake of Territory women and their families, and most importantly, their new babies. And he needs to do it urgently. Mr Deputy Speaker, at the start of this year, 2026, we had 2 incredibly professional and highly competent obstetricians operating in Darwin, and now we have none, 0. Both have had to make the extremely difficult decision to close their obstetrician practices because of their concerns over the current state of maternity care and unacceptable handling of this situation by the CLP government. Dr. 𝘔𝘢𝘵𝘺𝘳𝘯𝘪𝘵𝘺, a born and bred Territorian, reluctantly closed her doors because she felt she couldn't give her patients the care they deserved without a functioning private maternity unit. She has been sending her patients interstate to have their babies for months. And Dr. Jenny Mitchell has been an obstetrician here in Darwin for more than 20 years, and she has delivered thousands of Territory babies. She was, in fact, my first obstetrician, Mr. Deputy Speaker, when I had my daughter. She says she wasn't able, Mr. Deputy Speaker, Dr. Mitchell says she wasn't told about the closure of Healthscope's private maternity ward until the day it was actually announced. The CLP government knew about it. They knew what was coming, but the CLP had not provided decency to let Dr. Mitchell know. Nor did the CLP government sit down with either Dr. Mitchell or Dr. 𝘔𝘠𝘺𝘺 to work through the different models of care that could be provided in keeping a private maternity service operating here in Darwin. And I understand a proposal was presented to the CLP, and I understand, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that the CLP knocked this proposal back, that the CLP was not interested in a professional solution. And now here we are. Today, we have a situation where 2 birthing suites are sitting virtually unused, but that could be used as a private birthing option with a few minor upgrades, all awaiting the CLP's failure of delivering a plan to the federal Labor government for that $10 million. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this was put to the government, but they're not interested, and it beggars belief on behalf of all families who have been affected. In the meantime, the CLP government forged on with awarding a $1.1 million contract to a private midwifery service to operate within their flawed luxury retreat model. Mr. Deputy Speaker, that private midwifery contract is now on hold because the government ignored serious concerns about that service, despite what I understand were repeated warnings. Despite the fact that the operator was not allowed to provide services without supervision, a licence condition that has been imposed by the Nursing and Midwifery Board of Australia. There are serious questions, Mr. Deputy Speaker, around the procurement process used to award this $1.1 million contract. Questions that the CLP have refused to answer, hiding behind a commercial in confidence line and not coming out and doing what they said and being transparent and open with Territorians. But what we do know, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is that the CLP government has been in discussions with that particular private midwifery service well before the private maternity ward was closed. And we believe the Health Minister needs to answer why his CLP government was negotiating a $1.1 million contract with the private midwifery service over a year ago, before the private maternity ward was closed and without first putting it out to a proper tender process. Seems to be a very unfortunate and bad habit of the CLP not to go through proper process. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Health Minister needs to explain why he refused to enter into discussions with Dr. Mitchell and Dr. 𝘔𝘠𝘺𝘺𝘺 about supporting them to safely and effectively continue their obstetrician services right here in Darwin. And may I add, Mr. Deputy Speaker, these are not my questions. These are questions that medical professionals and concerned mothers have had about this situation that remain unanswered, and they have charged us with asking the government these very important questions. Meanwhile, the CLP, by its own admission, still hasn't provided that plan I mentioned to the federal government for infrastructure upgrades at the hospital here in Darwin that are largely aimed at improving the capacity of our public maternity ward and the stretched resources that they are experiencing there at the Royal Darwin Hospital, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Now, we talk about timelines. This offer of $10 million by the federal government has been on the table for months now, and the CLP government has done nothing to unlock this critical funding that is essential. Meanwhile, Mr Deputy Speaker, the government's home birthing unit remains understaffed. Home birthing should be an option available for women who are confident that they can birth safely at home, and the professionals who support that go through a lengthy process to allow that to happen. Mr Deputy Speaker, home birthing is a legitimate option for some women here in the Territory, and one that does keep pressure off the hospitals. But we are hearing stories of women who've chosen to home birth being forced into the public maternity ward to have their baby because the specialist midwives simply aren't available to assist them at home because they're understaffed. Again, Mr Deputy Speaker, the CLP government has failed to adequately resource or support a legitimate and important birthing choice for Territory women, their families and their babies. So the situation for mothers as it stands: no private obstetricians operating in Darwin, no private midwifery service, an understaffed home birthing unit, no progress on upgrades to the public maternity ward, which is now under more enormous pressure than ever. It is a situation of pure and utter negligence by the CLP government, failing to provide the most basic care services to women and their families right here in the Northern Territory. Our Territory women have been left without choice when it comes to their maternity care. Our Territory women have been left without continuity of care, which is a significant risk to a safe pregnancy and to a safe birth. At a time when women and their families should be experiencing one of the happiest times of their lives, they are left with anxiety, confusion, fear about the level of care that they will receive in the current chaotic system. Again, this is not being critical of our incredible health staff, but because of the situation, the CLP government has failed to ensure and act and provide certainty or security or care to our Territory women. And they have put staff in an incredibly difficult and very stressful situation many times over. Territory women are having to make the choice to go interstate to have their babies. Families are making the decision to pack up and leave the Territory because they have no faith in the current system. The CLP government talks about lifestyle as one of their commitments to the NT, talks about growing the population here in the NT. But this debacle demonstrates that the CLP are incapable of backing their words with action that matters. Mr Deputy Speaker, there are many things that the CLP needs to resolve at this fiasco, but I can offer 3 things that they should be addressing, and I'll call on them today. Again, our team is very focused on this issue as a matter of extreme urgency to restore choice and continuity of care to expectant mothers here in the NT. 1, immediately provide a plan to the federal government for those upgrades of the public maternity ward to unlock the $10 million that has been on the table since last year, Mr Deputy Speaker. 2, immediately repurpose some of the $1.1 million set aside for the stalled private midwifery contract so that the birthing suites sitting vacant in the private hospital can be upgraded and used by private obstetricians for Territory births. And 3, properly staff the home birth unit so this choice is available to women with a high degree of confidence and to relieve some of the pressure being experienced on our hospital. Mr Deputy Speaker, these are 3 things that my team and I offer to the government, 3 things that would immediately restore maternity care choice to women and take pressure off our public health system that is already under enormous stress. Mr Deputy Speaker, we've been seeking answers on this situation on behalf of Territorians for over 12 months now. The medical profession has been seeking answers to this situation for over 12 months now. And mothers, their families and their friends have been seeking answers from the CLP government for over 12 months. It is well and truly past the time now, Mr Deputy Speaker, for the Health Minister and his team to give answers to those very important questions. It is well past the time for the Minister to act on this absolutely unacceptable situation. And very sadly, Mr Deputy Speaker, the CLP are so hell-bent on playing politics that they have completely forgotten that their job is to serve the people of the Northern Territory. It is high time that the Health Minister got off Facebook and started doing his job on behalf of Territory women, families and babies. Because, Mr Deputy Speaker, Territory women, Territory families and our Territory babies deserve much, much better than what they're getting from the CLP right now. Mr Deputy Speaker, this is why our Territory Labor team has raised this matter of public importance today, to demand answers, but more importantly, Mr Deputy Speaker, to demand action from the CLP to do the job that they have been elected to do. Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker.
Thank you. Member for Arnhem. Leader of the Opposition. Sorry, it's the Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker, and I thank the Leader of the Opposition for bringing on this matter of public importance. Mr Deputy Speaker, I've spoken before about the range of maternity services across the Territory, and as a member living in a remote part of the Northern Territory, I certainly know that these issues do not end at the Berrimah line. So to talk about maternity services tonight, there's more to maternity than the Leader of the Opposition would like people to believe. There are services in 4 other hospitals: the Alice Springs Hospital, Gove Hospital, the Katherine Hospital, the Royal Darwin Hospital, and I want to make that clear. There's around 2,000 births per year at RDH and over 600 of the births at the Alice Springs Hospital every year. When it comes to those births at the Royal Darwin, for approximately 2,000 births per year, the Australasian Health Facility Guidelines recommend 5 birthing rooms plus 1 assessment room. The Royal Darwin Hospital, Mr Deputy Speaker, currently exceeds this recommendation with 6 delivery suites, 1-day pregnancy assessment area and 2 suites within the birth centre. This capacity has been assessed as sufficient to meet current birthing activity and the increase following the closure of the Darwin Private Hospital Maternity Service. We should also take note that there's only one tertiary level hospital for thousands of kilometres. That's the Royal Darwin Hospital, and that's the escalation point for the Territory and beyond. It provides vital last resort supports and services for the whole of the NT and the broader region. This includes when Darwin Private Hospital had complex and traumatic births, and emergency support and escalated levels of care were required for private patients in the private system. Mr Deputy Speaker, it's important to recognise that people outside of Darwin might not have alternatives to use to the use of our public maternity services, nor might they have readily and easily accessible services nearby. Our team at NT Health, our doctors, nurses, midwives and other service providers do an absolutely outstanding job, Mr Deputy Speaker. They do some amazing work, and they have done so for many, many years here in the Northern Territory, servicing the needs of all Northern Territory residents and those that use the services. In our remote areas, expectant mothers will receive pregnancy care at their local clinic until they are 37 weeks pregnant, at which time they'll be brought into a hospital for birthing. After birthing in one of those hospitals, when mum and baby are well enough, remote families return home. Then they continue to be cared for by the community nurse and midwife in their local clinic. RDH also offers a postnatal home visiting service where a midwife will visit parents and babies at home to provide breastfeeding support and postnatal care to new mothers. Our maternity teams at our 4 birthing hospitals and midwifery services, including our remote midwives and nurses who help mums in pregnancy and in birthing, including home births, deserve every bit of praise and recognition for their hard work that they continue to do. Mr Deputy Speaker, in regard to some of the comments by the opposition leader, Dr 𝘔𝘠𝘕𝘠 made a commercial decision to shut her private obstetrician business. And of course, like everybody, I'm extremely disappointed that a private obstetrician has decided to close here in the Northern Territory. We all recognise that Healthscope's decision, and I reiterate, Healthscope's decision to close Darwin's private maternity and birthing service in June has caused widespread concern, disrupting care for pregnant women and placing added pressure on families. Frankly, it's been incredibly frustrating for me as the Minister. It's been incredibly frustrating for Territory residents. It's been incredibly frustrating for those families that have been paying private health insurance and expecting to be able to use a private birthing service here in the Northern Territory. Our government stepped in when Healthscope stepped out. We made a concerted effort to provide a safe birthing experience for private patients. Before the doors closed, and since, our government has been actively engaged, working through solutions and ensuring private care options continue to be available for expectant mothers here in Darwin. And just last year, as I've said before, Minister Butler said this: the Northern Territory government under Minister Steve Edgington has been doing a terrific job, working with insurers to pick up the slack that Healthscope is going to leave, having withdrawn their maternity services. And that was from the Federal Minister at the time. When we found out that Healthscope was closing, we stepped in where they stepped out to ensure that some of those services that could be provided were provided. At an operational level, NT Health continues working with extremely hard to ensure the transition to the Royal Darwin Hospital has been managed with the highest levels of care. Although these options do not replicate the model at Darwin Private Hospital, they provide a comprehensive, safe and supportive maternity experience for private patients. As of the 2nd of February 2026, 75 families have embraced the private maternity options, 36 through the maternity hotel retreat and 39 under the return home sooner model. I have previously said how reassuring it is that many families have expressed appreciation to NT Health staff, praising the midwives, lactation consultant and support teams for going above and beyond to provide care and positive experience, with a few patients describing their experience at the Royal Darwin Hospital as very positive, particularly to the midwifery and domiciliary support provided throughout. Comments received from the private maternity families who stayed at the Macquarie Darwin Airport Resort said it provided a valuable opportunity for rest and time with family, and many families expressed satisfaction with the public-private hybrid model, suggesting it was innovative and should be considered for continuation in Darwin. Mr Deputy Speaker, I've also had the wonderful opportunity to meet with several mothers and their babies from Our Birth, Our Voice group to discuss this important matter, and I look forward to meeting with them again. NT Health have ensured they meet regularly with Our Birth, Our Voice group and attend any forums that are held. The voices of these mums are important, and we value their advocacy and acknowledge that everyone's lived experience and story, whether they are directly or indirectly impacted. I hear their concerns and I stand with them. Engagement with the Commonwealth at the official level continues regarding the provision of private maternity services here in the Northern Territory. Separately, an infrastructure funding request has been sent through to the Commonwealth to enable upgrades to existing maternity infrastructure to improve services more generally in the NT. While we're in discussions with the Commonwealth on funding and private maternity services, we'll always make sure public maternity services are there for Territorians who need them. We continue to engage with the Commonwealth on the sale of Healthscope to make sure Territorians keep real choice between public and private healthcare. I'll be meeting with the receivers next week, Mr Deputy Speaker, to try and find out where things are up to and to try and find a solution for the Northern Territory in regard to these unresolved issues over a number of months. We've been calling on the federal government and the HealthScope receivers to step up and provide Territorians with clarity on the future of the Darwin Private Hospital. We supported the national approach led by the Commonwealth Health Minister Mark Butler following the owners of the Darwin Private Hospital entering into receivership. That's what happened, Mr Deputy Speaker. We need to make this very clear. The owners of the Darwin Private Hospital entered into receivership. We've been acting in the best interests of Territorians. All last year we were told by the federal government and the appointed receivers that an announcement of a new operator was hopeful by the year's end. It hasn't been delivered. It's left patients, staff and the broader health system facing ongoing uncertainty about the future of the critical facility. We've worked with the receivers and confirmed that once the new operator is known, we will engage directly and fight for a return of private maternity services. On top of that, there was a recent announcement of that HealthScope's Gold Coast private hospital has been sold, so it's time for those in the know to let Torians know what's going on. It looks like there's been another opportunity missed. We need an update. We need to find out where things are at from the Commonwealth, from the receivers, so that we can inform Territorians. This latest sale means that 5 of HealthScope's hospitals have been sold, but there's no update on the sale of the Darwin Private Hospital, and sadly no update for Territorians. The Territory cannot keep being treated as an afterthought by the Albanese federal government. When it comes to healthcare, our Territorians deserve better. Darwin should not stand alone as the only capital city without private maternity services, and it is in the national interest that this be put right. The CLP government believes it's vital that as part of the resolution of the HealthScope sale process, privately run and managed maternity services to meet the needs of Territorians with private health insurance must be restored at the Darwin Private Hospital under whatever new ownership is established. I do want to briefly talk about federal funding because it's all in some way relevant to Mr Deputy Speaker, and I just want to talk briefly and commend the Chief Minister who signed a landmark deal with the federal government and state leaders to deliver $25 billion for public hospital, which includes $1 billion for the Northern Territory. The funding over 5 years provides certainty for patients, and I thank the federal government for working with us and recognising the challenges of being a smaller jurisdiction. This 5-year funding agreement locks in the single biggest contribution by the federal government to the Territory's hospitals. The Territory will come home with a historic deal. And while we would certainly have liked to have more, it represents a significant increase that will go a long way to delivering better health care for Territorians. We will continue to work with the federal government to improve our position, which has traditionally trailed behind the rest of the nation. But when it comes to healthcare funding, Mr Deputy Speaker, I've previously spoken about this before. We are still $200 million short of the $200 million short for the necessary services and facilities that the Commonwealth is directly responsible for. Aeromedical services in the top end cost our health system $51 million a year. I've spoken about aged care patients, 60 to 80 in our hospitals per day in the Northern Territory. The federal government needs to provide dignified care for our aged care people. And yes, the announcement of a new facility being built is certainly welcomed by the Northern Territory, but in the meantime, it's costing Northern Territory $40 million per year to deliver a service that is the responsibility of the federal government. But the federal government refuses to pay the $40 million that it's costing Territorians to deliver that service. We're underfunded by $95 million in remote primary health care, and all up, roughly, this is just short of $200 million that we're still short when it comes to health funding. The National Health Reform Agreement is a big step in the right direction, and it will certainly go a long way to supporting a stronger health system for all Territorians. We also welcomed the, as I said, the long overdue announcement of the aged care facility, and as I said, we thank the federal government for that announcement. I believe the Prime Minister was in the top end making that announcement, and we do thank the federal government for that announcement. It's good to see that they finally delivering on their promise, which I believe was made in April last year. So roughly about 9 months after that commitment was made, we do now have an announcement that an aged care facility will be going ahead in the Northern Territory. What we've contributed, Mr Deputy Speaker, we've contributed land and headworks. So we've offered the land, we will complete the headworks near the Palmerston Hospital to ensure that Auscare is able to deliver the facility that has been discussed. In the meantime, as I said, 80 aged care patients are occupying beds in our hospital. Clearly, these bed block ripples through the system, causing longer waits in emergency departments and putting pressure on the health system overall in the Northern Territory. The aged care facility, once built, it will certainly take some pressure off the health system. Mr Deputy Speaker, in my budget speech last year to the Parliament and in past questions from the opposition, I've highlighted the dire strait of the Northern Territory health budget and the mess that Territory Labor left us when it came to the funding of health services in the Northern Territory. On coming to office, we found that the health budget spending had exceeded the allocation of funds by around $300 million per annum for at least 2 years, a time which I know that the Leader of the Opposition was actually the Health Minister at the time. In our budget last year, we acted to provide additional base funding as part of the health budget, another $100 million per annum, not just a one-off, because we know that more needs to be done to improve health here in the Northern Territory. Labor had 8 years, Mr Deputy Speaker, to upgrade maternity services at the Royal Darwin Hospital. But what did they do? Nothing. Nothing. They came to government in 2021 and had around about 19 years in government overall, but failed to invest in maternity services here in the Northern Territory. Even when their Chief Minister, Natasha Fyles, was Health Minister from 2016 to 2023, Labor had no plans or major investment to upgrade maternity services. The new opposition leader was the Health Minister after that, from Christmas 23 until August 24, when Territorians unceremoniously voted them out. Crickets. Absolute crickets is what we heard on improving maternity services when she was Minister. I've spoken this previously, and I flagged that Labor failed in its promise when it opened Palmerston Regional Hospital that babies could be delivered there. In an ABC article from the 27th of September 2017, the former Chief Minister, Natasha Fyles, who was the Health Minister at the time, said this: "As the hospital progresses when it's appropriate in a clinical plan, women will be able to deliver at Palmerston." ABC said that Ms Fyles did not provide a time frame for the full rollout. So what happened to that plan? What happened to Labor's plan to roll out a plan for women to deliver at Palmerston? Did the now opposition leader take that plan out? Take on the plan. Did she deliver on the plan? Did she follow through with the plan? Obviously not. In another ABC story from June the 3rd, 21, Ms Fyles said that the Labor government was looking at returning birthing facilities to remote and regional locations and hopes to do so within the next decade. The story stated Ms Fyles said investing in birthing on country services was a priority. Again, absolutely nothing. I still haven't been able to find anything. Even AI could not make up any of Labor's action on maternity. Labor was all about platitudes and unfulfilled promises, not priorities. In conclusion, Mr Deputy Speaker, yes, we are certainly frustrated by Healthscope's decision to end private maternity services. We will be meeting with the receivers. We will be representing Territorians, advocating on behalf of all Territorians to ensure that when the new Darwin private hospital provider is identified, that we're at the forefront of advocating for the return of maternity services at the private hospital in Darwin. We've made it very clear that the restoration of private maternity services is an absolute essential element of what we see as private hospital ownership here in the Northern Territory. I look forward to meeting with the receivers. I look forward to meeting with the Federal Minister next week. And as I close, Mr Deputy Speaker, it seems to me that listening to the opposition leader tonight, what concerns me is that she has, and of course this is typical of the opposition, there's lots and lots of complaints around what hasn't been done. They've got a very short memory about they certainly didn't do much when they were in government. So rather than sit around and whinge and complain, why don't you get on board and start advocating with us for a change and an increase in private maternity services here in Darwin? Why don't you get on board and start asking the federal government to provide the $40 million for aged care services that we're delivering on behalf of the Commonwealth, the $95 million for remote primary care, the $51 million to deliver care flight services. Why don't you get on board and start supporting Territorians and start advocating for money for us so that we can improve services right across the board?
Thank you, Minister. Any further speakers? Member for Daly.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. Mr Deputy Speaker, tonight we have heard important contributions on the matter critical to Territory women and families. The current circumstances surrounding maternity services. The key concern is the erosion of choice and continuity of care for Territory women and their families. With that, I want to thank the Leader of the Opposition, 𝘔𝘦𝘳𝘷𝘪𝘤𝘦, for raising the topic. It is vital that we address any issues arising with the seriousness and urgency they deserve. I know there are Territory women and healthcare professionals watching this debate. Women and clinicians who have consistently and courageously raised their concerns because they care deeply about the safety and well-being of mothers and babies across the Territory. They are looking for answers from their Health Minister, and more importantly, they are looking for solutions. This conversation is not limited to the loss of private maternity care in the Northern Territory. It extends to pressures within the public system and the growing uncertainty faced by women across all models of care. As I said in my speech back in October last year on the state of maternity services in the Northern Territory, when you are having a baby or visiting friends or family who have just had one, it should be one of the most beautiful and positive experiences you can have. This should be true whether you are birthing in a hospital across the Territory or at home. Amid this discussion tonight, I want to make one point absolutely clear. The current uncertainty in maternity care isn't the fault of our healthcare professionals. They work incredibly hard under very difficult circumstances to deliver the best care possible to Territory mothers and babies in Darwin, Alice Springs, Katherine and Nhulunbuy. But Mr Deputy Speaker, Territory women and families know something is not right with maternity services in the Northern Territory. Since February 2025, ongoing issues and what can only be described as sluggish action from this government have resulted in the ongoing erosion of choice and continuity of care in maternity services here in the Northern Territory. Healthscope announced the closure of its private maternity services in February 2025, rocking expected mothers and healthcare staff. The Health Minister, Steve Edgington, then admitted the same day that he was aware this could happen in September 2024. He told ABC News on Friday the 21st of February last year, "I was certainly made aware that Healthscope were having some difficulties here in Darwin." Now, 12 months on from the announcement, there are no private obstetricians operating in Darwin. This leaves the Territory as the only jurisdiction in the country without private obstetricians or continuity of care for Territory women who want it. 12 months on, the public maternity ward is under enormous pressure, with our incredible healthcare staff working overtime to deal with the demand and at times struggling to find safe private spaces for women to have their babies. 12 months on, the home birth program continues to face staffing challenges, and women are being told they are unable to give birth at home when they are in labour. Being informed during labour that a transfer is required as a result of staff unavailability is profoundly anxiety-provoking and undermines a woman's sense of safety and trust in her chosen model of care. 12 months on, the CLP's luxury retreat model has been criticised as unsafe by medical professionals who are concerned about the low levels of care women are receiving under the arrangement. 12 months on, the Health Minister has not secured the additional funding from the federal government to make the necessary upgrades to maternity infrastructure at the Royal Darwin Hospital. And 12 months on, there is still a number of Territory women and healthcare professionals coming forward with horror stories surrounding how this anxiety-inducing inaction is impacting them or forcing them to go interstate. Stories that include a mother labouring in a tea room because there was no place for her to go. Or as I'm currently hearing, mothers telling each other to bring fans with them because the maternity ward is so hot. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we need to take the questions and concerns about maternity service capacity in the top end, especially in Darwin, very seriously. Because it is women, their families, and overall the Territory that suffer. As widely reported, families are leaving the Territory to access maternity care. Defence families are choosing not to be posted here or are leaving altogether if they plan to start a family. That impacts population growth, workforce stability and our economy. Without choice and continuity of care, Territory women now go interstate to ensure they have a private medical professional who knows their medical history, their risk, and importantly, their name. Is that the best the CLP can offer? Leave the Territory? Without choice and continuity of care, Territory women are paying top dollar for private insurance, but without choice, paying for a Medicare card with a ribbon wrapped around it. Choice equals safety, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And without choice and continuity of care, pressure on the public system intensifies. Our public obstetricians who do exceptional work are stretched even further, limiting their capacity to care for Aboriginal women who can face higher rates of pregnancy and birth complexities. The barometer of safety in maternity services is our obstetricians. If the public obstetricians are speaking to the Health Minister, then he needs to take it very seriously. As we've now lost our private obstetricians, we can see the immense pressure that has transferred to our public obstetricians. What happens when they can't take it anymore? Mr. Deputy Speaker, these concerns are not imagined. They are grounded in lived experience and backed by sustained advocacy. It is important to recognise the ongoing advocacy efforts and the commitment of various groups, including Our Birth, Our Voice healthcare professionals, such as Dr. Jenny Mitchell, such as Dr. Ali, organisations and unions. These advocacy offers hope to Territory women that their voices are being heard and that a better future for maternity services is possible. The Territory Labor opposition, alongside with the crossbench, will continue to work with these advocates to amplify their voices and to hold this government to account on an issue that Territorians repeatedly tell us matters deeply to them. I really have to acknowledge the fantastic advocacy of the mothers behind the Our Birth, Our Voice forums. Their advocacy is born from traumatic and heartbreaking experiences, yet their efforts have ensured that these issues remain front and centre and that women's voices are not ignored. They have serious and responsible questions for the Health Minister. They've asked for details on how NT Health is implementing the women-centred care strategy and where it is not, a framework with implementation timeframes. Will there be forward planning to ensure appropriate cover is arranged during no and leave periods, including the use of agency staff where no other cover is available? Can he ensure the home birth unit moves to transparent, timely communication with women during periods when the program is understaffed, providing as much notice as possible that there is an increased likelihood of having to transfer? Can the Minister confirm whether the new mental health building at RDH includes a dedicated mother and baby room? What is the policy in place specifically directed at reducing the parental death rate in circumstances where parental loss is disproportionately affecting NT women, when additional supports are in place to support mothers who suffer loss? What consideration is being given or can be given to expanding the early pregnancy clinic to see high-risk mothers earlier than 16 to 18 weeks, particularly in light of the lack of private maternity options for these women? Can additional funding be made available to upskill local GPs to provide early and targeted pregnancy support for women who cannot yet access the early pregnancy clinic? Targeted treatment, such as progesterone support and additional scans, is often required well before 16 weeks. Can a woman who is potentially suffering a miscarriage be immediately transferred to level 8 at RDH for an ultrasound to determine whether there has been a loss, rather than waiting in ED for extended periods? Can confirmation be provided that the room currently being used for mental health patients be returned to be used by women suffering early loss once the new mental health ward is online? These are not political questions. They are questions asked by Territory mothers, families and clinicians seeking safety, dignity and certainty. I say to those opposite, think carefully before criticising these questions. To dismiss them is not to criticise the opposition. It is to dismiss the lived experiences of Territory women and healthcare professionals who have come together repeatedly to propose solutions to a problem that remains unsolved. I ask that the Health Minister work with all parties to address this issue and the seriousness it deserves. The Federal Labor Government has stepped up and delivered additional health funding for the Northern Territory, and I acknowledge that. But this is a Territory responsibility, and it requires Territory leadership. The Minister must immediately provide the Commonwealth with a clear plan to upgrade the public maternity ward at Royal Darwin Hospital to unlock the $10 million that has been on the table since last year. The Government should repurpose the $1.1 million allocated to the stalled private midwifery contract to upgrade unused birthing suites at the private hospital so they can be utilised by private obstetricians. And the home birth unit must be properly staffed so that women can choose this model of care with confidence and certainty. Above all, the Government must listen to Territory women, their families and the healthcare professionals who care for them every day. Mr Deputy Speaker, in closing, I'd like to again thank the Territory women who stand up and add their voice to this issue. I thank the Our Birth, Our Voice group for their ongoing and strong advocacy. I thank Dr Jenny and I thank Dr Alia for their years of work delivering many young Territorians and helping Territory women. I'd also like to thank our health workforce who continue to deliver every day, every single day. Territory women have done their part. Health professionals have done their part. It is time this government do theirs. Thank you.
Thank you. Member for Catherine.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. And I just want to pick up on a couple of things that the member for Daly spoke about, that it was, the Minister for Health's job to advocate for the health. I think the Minister for Health absolutely did a great job of explaining the downfalls of the previous Labor government in advocating for more funding for health services. So I think it's a bit rich to come in here with your MPI and just blame it all on us. The opposition leader was actually the health minister at the time. The member for Daly actually was on the radio the other day saying, the chief minister should be able to, it's up to her to advocate to the federal government. Well, it was actually up to the opposition leader when she was the health minister to advocate. And thankfully, we do have a very strong chief minister that advocated for an extra $1 billion for the health across the territory. And I think that is something, Mr Deputy Speaker, that should be applauded rather than, snipe from the other side trying to still find their relevance of being in opposition. I digress, Mr Deputy Speaker, and I'm very proud to stand and rise this afternoon to speak on this matter of public importance, and it is a matter of public importance. Mr Deputy Speaker, we've heard the Minister for Health, as I said, Steve Edgington, speak of the failures that we have inherited under the previous Labor government in relation to health services right across the Northern Territory. And I think if anyone has advocated more strongly, it has actually been the Health Minister, the member for Barkly. He's outlined the lack of support, the advocacy and the importance the opposition leader, then Health Minister, placed on the health system, which was negligent, and did not advocate to her mates in Canberra at the time for a better deal for the Northern Territory. It did take the Chief Minister to go down there during National Cabinet to advocate and put our best case forward to receive an extra $1 billion of funding for the Northern Territory. I thank the Health Minister for continuing to advocate for more funding to top up our shortfall from the federal government. Mr Deputy Speaker, last year I met with the group Birth and Beyond on behalf of the Health Minister, and it was a sobering gathering, listening to the stories of parents and parents-to-be of their birthing stories here in Darwin. And I have to say, as a mother, some of those stories were heart-wrenching, but it was good to be there on behalf of the Health Minister, also joined by the CEO, Chris Hoskins, and other staff from Maternity Services and the Health Department to listen to those mothers advocating for health services and maternity services here in the Territory. I would like to speak as a mother in the chamber here today, as a mother of 3 children and someone who has received the services of our public health system in Katherine, at our Katherine Hospital, with my birthing experiences. I'd like to put on the record how fortunate we really are in Katherine to have such a wonderful maternity department. And I truly mean that, Mr Deputy Speaker. It is just remarkable, the services that we have in such a regional centre with our Katherine Hospital. And, the staff there, their long-term local staff, the midwives there, and they have ladies that have had their own babies there at our hospital. They really do give the best of care. I could not speak highly enough of our maternity services Katherine mothers receive, whether you live in town or come in prior to having your baby from out bush. The ladies that come in from remote communities receive a high level of care, not only from the midwives, but other staff in the annex that adjoins the hospital that houses and supports them while they wait to give birth. Katherine Hospital has over the years been very fortunate to have had and continues to have amazing doctors that have been private but have attended to public patients at our hospital. I would like to acknowledge the tireless works of Dr Sakatini, he's passed away now, rest in peace, who the maternity ward is actually named after, Dr Brummett, Dr King, Dr Short, who were the long-term doctors when I arrived in Katherine 36 years ago. They ran the private Kintor clinic, but also supported our hospital with many hours of unpaid work, as that was just what they believed being a ruralist GP was all about, and gave back to our community. I'm sure I can say for those of us that have lived in town long enough, we miss them all. Mr Deputy Speaker, sorry. My first child was born 4 weeks early under the care of Dr Sally 29 years ago, along with the help of midwives, and the level of care afterwards was amazing. As a new mum, it was like a deer in the headlights, and I'm sure others in the house mothers can reflect back on when they actually, gave birth to their first child. It's anxiety overload. After 8 hours of labour, I was handed this tiny baby, 5 pound 5. Mr Deputy Speaker, he looked like, I don't mean disrespectfully, but he looked like a Pinky Joey. He was very premature. He was so tiny and fragile, not that you would see, he's quite tall and big these days. He went into a humidity crib, suffering from jaundice, and cried and fed constantly. I'm sure I suffered postnatal depression, but it was like, seriously, I think I'm still getting over it. And he's 29. He still pushes my buttons. My week after, as a new mum in the care of the dedicated midwives, was second to none. And I was confident we were receiving the same care as you would in a private hospital elsewhere. In fact, Madam Speaker, I would say we received better care, as the dedicated team of midwives at the Katherine Hospital were there to help at the press of the buzzer, no matter what time of the day or night. Those midwives were supportive, took your baby when you needed a rest, the nappies were taken away and washed, cloth nappies back then, Madam Speaker. The meals were served up to you, and apart from a baby that fed all too often, the hospital experience was all positive. When it was time to have my daughter, Madam Speaker, I only had the supportive midwives during my birthing experience, and they again were incredible with their level of care and attending to my needs. Coming back to the hospital for the third child, I was back to having one of our amazing doctors, Dr. 𝘔𝘠𝘳𝘳𝘳. Unfortunately, he is retired now, and also alongside with him, I had the incredible 𝘔𝘢𝘵𝘺 McClellan. And she is someone that has been in town at the hospital for as long as I've lived there. She's a midwife. Her support is second to none. And I think everyone should have a midwife like 𝘔𝘢𝘺 alongside them through their labour. There was nothing that 𝘔𝘢𝘺 did not get for me, even the strange request of a crunchy bar mid-labour. She was there delivering on anything I needed. These days, 𝘔𝘢𝘺's daughter works as a midwife as well, and the team of mostly long-term local staff continue to give 100% care to all of the mums that deliver their precious cargo at our Katherine Hospital. Our maternity ward has 8 beds, a room with a double bed for families to use for their comfort after they have delivered their baby in one of the hospital's 3 birthing suites. If you choose to have a water birth, no problems. At Katherine Hospital, we have a birthing pool also. Madam Speaker, I'm confident today these birthing services are still second to none. My daughter, who is waiting, she's 4 days overdue, she's not very happy about that, to still have her baby. She's attended birthing classes run by dedicated staff and has also had a student midwife go through the whole experience with her by her side for her continuity of care, along with our dedicated midwives to complete her birthing experience. The student midwife has been a real support to Hannah throughout her pregnancy. That, fortunately for her, has been smooth for along the whole way. In closing, Madam Speaker, I want to send a big shout out to all midwives across the Territory that provide much needed care to new mothers, but mostly those in Katherine under the leadership of Renee Daniels at our Katherine Hospital. I feel so lucky to be in a regional town that provides our town the best care, whether you're at the emergency department or having a baby at our maternity section, delivering the very best of care to our new mums. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for 𝘔𝘠𝘵.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I'm truly delighted to jump tonight to speak about the importance of health and maternity services right across the Northern Territory, because maternity services affects each and every one of us, our families directly, but our constituents, and making sure that every Territorian has access to quality maternity services should be an absolute priority for everyone in this chamber, let alone the CLP government, Madam Speaker. Doesn't matter where you're from, who you are, you absolutely deserve access to outstanding maternity services across the Northern Territory. Now, we've heard from many people in this chamber about the importance of maternity services, and absolutely I support choice. I support Territory families having the choice to determine what service they will access when it comes to maternity services. Now, I want to make it absolutely clear. It is part of Labor Party DNA that we back in public health. We love the public health system. We're always there for the public health system, and we absolutely support Territorians to have the choice to access private health services, because that is their choice. They are entitled to that, and every jurisdiction should have high-functioning, well-resourced public health services right across the Northern Territory. Now, Madam Speaker, I have been horrified to hear stories across the Territory of women being told that they can check into a hotel, the Darwin Airport Hotel, to have a baby. They have absolutely said that it is absolutely alarming.
Take your seat, Member for 𝘔𝘵𝘵. What's your point of order, Member for Daly?
Standing Order 20, the government members keep interfering while the member is trying to speak on this important matter. They've had their opportunity to speak, and I'd ask that we respectfully listen to each other, considering the sensitivities of this.
Thank you, Member for Daly. I agree. The member will be heard in silence.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And the clock was 13:47, so I just ask that my time is replenished.
Mr Clark? We can do, yes, we'll do that. Yeah.
So as I was saying, Madam Speaker, I'm hearing these alarming stories of Territory mothers being told that that is the option to check into a hotel. Now, I pick up on the interjection from the member for Katherine saying that's fabulous and that's great. Well, that's not her decision to make. That is the decision of Territory mothers and parents, fathers, mums. They get to make the choice where they have their child and the access and the quality of services, Madam Speaker. I've heard stories, I think it was 𝘔𝘢𝘵𝘳𝘳𝘵 or Groote Island during a cyclone. They flew a mother to Queensland to give birth. That's not right. We've got great services in the Northern Territory, and we should have outstanding private health services that this government, the CLP government, should have got behind and backed every step of the way, but they didn't, Madam Speaker. That's what we're here tonight to discuss. There should be these options for our people here in the Territory to have access to these quality services. Now, I want to acknowledge that during this debate, Madam Speaker, I want to acknowledge the hard work, not by the government, the hard work by the people on the ground in the community and by the people who support Territory mothers each and every day. And I want to give a shout out to Tess, who's up in the gallery there, from Our Birth, Our Voice, who has been an absolute strong advocate in making sure that there are quality services for Territory mothers to be able to give birth the way that they want in the environment that they want and that they rightfully deserve. Now, Madam Speaker, Birth and Beyond in Central Australia, another amazing group who stand up for Territory mothers and for parents expecting, because that's what we should be doing. Now, the Northern Territory has had private health services in various areas. I come from the magical land of Central Australia, in Barntua, Alice Springs. We don't have a private hospital. We've got an amazing public health system there, and a shout out to every health professional who offers support during women's pregnancies, because they are absolutely the heroes that we need to get behind and continue to support every day as well. But I want to see this government put their money where their mouth is. I want women in Tennant Creek to be able to give birth in Tennant Creek. I want women in remote communities across the Northern Territory to give birth in country, on country. That's where we need to aspire to. Now, let's acknowledge that has the CLP got it right? No. Did Labor get it right last time? No. Did the CLP get it right the time before that? No. So let's all learn from history and not do the same thing again. Let's get the recipe right. Let's put women first when it comes to maternity services in the Northern Territory. Let's make sure that we're listening to them, their aspirations, their ideas, their choosing the way that they give birth. That's what we need to be doing. We absolutely need to make sure that they are front and centres, that they are leading the decisions around their bodies, their choices, and that they get to have their baby where they choose to do so, because that's what's important. That's what we are discussing here today. Now, people have shared their stories. That's great. But we need to make sure that the stories of expecting mothers is one that is elevated and they can give birth where they want to give birth. I think that no one should be giving birth in a hotel room unless that's their choice. And people are interjecting, say they do in other states. Well, we're not other states. We are the Northern Territory, and we can do much better. We can deliver quality health services, whether it is private, whether it is public. And I absolutely look forward to working with the member for Berkeley. You know, he's probably not a bad bloke. I don't mind him myself. I think he's all right, considering the lot that he's sitting with. I want to work with him because we both share the Territory's largest electorate. I'm bigger than him, but Madam Speaker, what we want to do is we want to see women in Canteen Creek, in Elliott, in Tennant Creek, Yuendamu, Papunya, Docker River, Mutijulu. We want to see women be able to give birth on country or in amazing health centres across the Northern Territory if that's what they choose to do. Because it is a long journey for an expecting mum, particularly if it's their first child, to have to travel into a larger regional centre and have to leave the family behind. And then you've got to think about remote settings, the large families. My mob we love kids, we love our kids and we love to have big families. And for some of our families, they don't actually get to see their new brother or sister or grandbaby for months because they can't afford to come into the larger towns to have their babies. They can't afford to come in and see them. So let's have a conversation around how we can extend maternity services across the Territory so that we're not putting strain on dragging families in. And I mean, Madam Speaker, I've never had a baby. I'm never going to have a baby. But I know the pressure it puts on families when they have to make that journey in. And if there's complications and they have to stay in town longer, the pressure that puts on the extended family in those communities across the Northern Territory is really big. Health professionals do a great job, but yes, there is a resourcing piece. Yes, we need to do more, but yes, let's acknowledge that Anthony Albanese, the leader of the country, the Prime Minister, leading the great Australian Labor Party, has brought an additional $1 billion into the Northern Territory to help deliver quality health services because it's in the DNA of the Labor Party to get in and back health. This is a great announcement. This will see us be able to deliver more quality services across the Northern Territory. Particularly also, let's acknowledge and shout out to Charles Darwin University with their med school. I think it's their first graduation, their first intake right now, you know, and they've got a number of outstanding Territorians who have decided to study medicine in the Northern Territory from the Territory. That is an amazing achievement. They are the future leaders who will be helping the next generation of Territorians to be born in the Territory. So, Madam Speaker, this is a really important MPI tonight, and it has been respectful in its contributions so far, I would say. And I acknowledge that since the inception of self-government, we have probably never delivered the best quality of care that we've wanted to. So let's all do better to make sure that Territory women get a quality service when it comes to maternity services in the Northern Territory. And there are a range of ways in which people can choose to give birth. A home birth. They can have a water birth. They can have a birth in a private hospital, a public hospital. Some mothers have had, given birth out on country, in country, and that is absolutely magical and special, and we should be supporting every person to be able to have the choice to do that. I think it was one of the members who spoke before me, Madam Speaker, spoke about the importance of our healthcare providers. And I just want to also give a shout out to all of the amazing midwives in the Northern Territory who do a bloody good job in supporting young mums and bubs. And I just again reiterate before closing, Madam Speaker, I just want to really shout out to Birth and Beyond, Our Birth, Our Voice. I want to acknowledge the amazing mums and bubs programs that are delivered by places like 𝘚𝘦𝘳𝘷𝘪𝘐 and 𝘚𝘦𝘳𝑚 at Congress, helping young expecting mums, help them learn how to be a mum, because for some people it's really scary and daunting and they don't know, they don't understand, and also the aftercare. I think the member for Katherine spoke about, postnatal depression, making sure that we are there to support our mums. Maternity care and services doesn't stop when you walk out the front door with your baby. We need to continue. We need to have that continuous care to provide that support. That's what we all need to be doing, Madam Speaker. This has been a really important motion. I think I really enjoyed hearing people's contributions, but I just want to leave people with a simple message. We should be doing everything in our power to make sure that Territory mums, the women of the Northern Territory, they are the ones who get to have the say about their body, their choice and their births. Where they want to have their baby should be up to them, but we should be there supporting them every step of the way to have that baby, to have that future leader of the Northern Territory. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for Fanny Bay.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Now, I know that while we may disagree on some points in this chamber, I'm pretty sure that we can all agree that every woman across the Northern Territory should be able to give birth safely, with confidence and with care that is personal, continuous and culturally safe. This issue is deeply personal to me. Member for 𝘔𝘠𝘵, I have had babies, 3 of them. I've had 3 children of my own. My first was born in Alice Springs Public Hospital back in 1999, and my next 2 were born here in Darwin at Darwin Private Hospital in 2004, 2008. Back in 2003, I was based in Tennant Creek and was suffering from a miscarriage, and I had to work through the way there, utilising the resources at Tennant Creek Hospital, but we had to go to Alice Springs to resolve that issue. And I have to say, as a mother, when you're giving birth, whether you're having a miscarriage, whatever you're having, you do what you need to do for the safety of your baby and for the safety of your own health. And most women know that. Madam Speaker, just 8 months ago, my family celebrated the arrival of my first grandchild, a beautiful little girl born safely under the care of the amazing staff at Royal Darwin Hospital. That is one of the reasons I have taken the time to meet with women in our community who are living through this experience right now. I've also on 2 separate occasions sat down with one of the coordinators of Birth Stories NT Facebook group to discuss maternity services. We've had some amazing chats. The Birth Stories NT is a remarkable community where mothers can share their experiences, offer advice and advocate for better maternity care in the Territory. The conversations on those posts are candid, they're heartfelt and sometimes they're very confronting. They're also very, very valuable, and they remind us that behind every policy and every announcement there are real women and families that are navigating these systems, sometimes struggling, but they're always hoping for the best outcome. Now, the opposition has described what's happening as an erosion of choice, of continuity of care. I disagree. Madam Speaker, Territorians deserve facts, not fear. Let's talk about responsibility, Madam Speaker, because the opposition never does. What we're seeing isn't erosion, it's transformation under pressure, driven by geography, workforce realities, and we are a government that is actually responding to, not just complaining from the sidelines. If there is anyone listening tonight that thinks all of these problems have come to fruition since the CLP has come to government just over a year ago, I can wholeheartedly say that that is not the case. The opposition leader was Minister for Health. She knew there was trouble brewing in the sector and she did nothing about it. The state we are currently in did not happen overnight. It's been growing for many, many years. If there's anybody out there that deliberately thinks that we would sabotage the care and safety of women that are giving birth, shame on you. And feel free to come and have a chat to me at any time. I will make myself available. I can talk this through at any point. Our government is working hard to rebuild and modernise maternity services across an enormous and challenging landscape. And that, as I said, has been eroding for a very long time. It includes strengthening workforce retention. We will always work to partner with Aboriginal community-controlled health organisations to deliver birthing and on-country programs that respect culture, connection to land and language. The Me Watch Health Birthing on Country model in East Arnhem is a great example of this, and it proves that when we empower local women and communities, the results speak for themselves. And let's be clear, when temporary service closures or changes have occurred, those opposite know that those decisions to restrict those services are clinical, they're not political. It's simply dishonest to pretend that it's a result of neglect. Those clinical decisions are made for one reason only: safety. Nobody wants to see services reduced, and safety must always come first. No minister, no clinician, no government worth its salt will risk unsafe births in under-resourced settings, and that's a reality. That said, the Minister of Health touched on this in his contribution. There are broader systemic issues that fall outside of Territory hands. Workforce shortages in health and the ongoing struggle to secure specialist obstetric staff are national problems. They're not local failings. It's time federal Labor government took serious responsibility for addressing these shortages rather than leaving smaller jurisdictions like ours to stretch scarce resources even further. And I must say, other than playing the blame game, we've heard far too little from our Labor opposition on this front. But if the opposition is looking for someone to blame, they should cast their eyes southeast towards their friends in Canberra. Because the truth is, the current federal Labor government has done little to help the Territory secure the workforce we so desperately need. Yes, we just got $1 billion. It's a little bit too late. 5-10 years ago would have been amazing. Instead, it's been delayed, and now we've got a saviour. Those opposite talk endlessly about equity, about closing the gap, about regional support, yet they've cut back on key health programs and left small jurisdictions like ours to fight over dwindling staff. We can't keep upping the ante as far as payroll goes. Can't keep fighting with jurisdictions to go, we can pay better, we can pay better, we can pay better. There's not an endless bucket of money. We can't keep doing that. The NT Labor opposition sits silently, utterly silent. Not one word of advocacy, not one call for Canberra to step up. Instead, we get empty speeches designed to paint local midwives and the hospital staff as if they're part of a failing system. They are not. They are the heroes that keep the Territory families safe under enormous strain, and they deserve our respect, not political point scoring from those opposite. Madam Speaker, our government continues to act. We will continue to work on strengthening continuity of care, improve choices, and ensure that every expectant mother can rely on safe, respectful services close to home. Madam Speaker, I've seen maternity care in both the public and private systems. I know what excellent care looks like, and I've seen the comfort it gives to families. My daughter experienced that same confidence when she gave birth just months ago in Darwin Public Hospital. And that's what we want for every mother: consistent, quality care that supports them from pregnancy through to those first precious moments after birth. So to the opposition, if you truly care about continuity and the choice for Territory women, stop blaming this government for the national workforce failures and start demanding actions from your friends in Canberra. Because here in the Territory, we're already getting on with the job. Whilst you're talking down our system, we're busy trying to make it stronger. We're investing in people, in clinics, in communities, and we're doing it because Territory families deserve nothing less. When I hold my granddaughter in my arms, I'm reminded exactly of what this debate is about. It's not political. It's about families, it's about love, and it's about trust in the care provided to the women who bring new Territorians into this world. It's about giving babies of Territory women the best possible start in life. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Are there any more speakers? Member for Whangarei.
Sorry. I should never go after you. Madam Speaker. As the smallest mother in the chamber, yes, I can attest, Member for 𝘔𝘠𝘵, I have had a baby. One only, though. I rise today to speak on this matter of public importance for Territorians and particularly for Territory women and their families: the importance of choice in maternity care. I am a child of a family with 8 female daughters, so 7 used public system and only 1 used the private maternity facilities. So we've had a lot of children in our family. As we all appreciate, Healthscope's decision to close Darwin's private hospital, private maternity and birthing services in June did cause significant disruption and uncertainty for Territory women, pregnant and with their families. For many, this was not just a change of hospital, it was that sudden loss of choice at one of the most important moments of their lives. Madam Speaker, I know it's been deeply disappointing and immensely frustrating. Frustrating for Territory women who have paid private health insurance premiums and expect those private services. But from the outset, the focus has been clear to ensure that every woman in the Territory continues to receive safe, high-quality, compassionate maternity care, and that a level of private service option remained available here in Darwin. At an operational level, NT Health has worked extraordinarily hard to manage the transition to Royal Darwin Hospital. This has not been easy, and it has required flexibility, commitment, and that professionalism from across all the staff across this system. I want to place on the record my sincere thanks to the midwives, nurses, doctors, lactation consultants, allied health professionals, and support staff who rose to this challenge. Although the private maternity options we established do not replicate the former Darwin private hospital model, they provide a comprehensive, safe and supportive maternity experience for private patients. As of 2nd of February 2020, 75 families have embraced these private maternity options, 36 through maternity hotel retreat and 39 under the return home sooner model. That is not an abstract number. Those are 75 families who welcomed new life into this world during a time of that uncertainty, supported by our wonderful NT Health staff, who went above and beyond. Families who stayed at the Darwin Airport Resort did tell us that it offered a valuable opportunity for the rest that they needed, the recovery they needed, and the time together. Several described that public-private hybrid model as innovative and something that should be considered for continuation in Darwin. These experiences matter. They remind us that public maternity services in the Territory are not second-best options. They are a strong, safe and deeply valued. Madam Speaker, I also want to speak personally about quality of our public maternity services, as, again, I have had that privilege of seeing firsthand the professionalism, the warmth and dedication of NT Health midwives. Although it was 25 years ago, I had my own son at the Royal Darwin Hospital. I can attest that that care was of the highest care. And to that, I was also born at the original Royal Darwin Hospital, Old Darwin Hospital, up on Miley Point, 50 years ago. And the story is, though, at the time, Madam Speaker, my mother was going into labour on the Friday, and unfortunately she did turn up to the hospital, and the midwives had told her that they'd already delivered a 𝘔𝘢𝘵𝘺 baby. And she asked them, well, what am I? I am actually pregnant with a baby ready to be delivered. What they had not realised that there were 2 𝘔𝘢𝘺 female mothers expecting in the system. And 5 days earlier, my niece was actually born, my sister's daughter, so she's 5 days older than me, and there was some confusion at the hospital. But again, with the highest care, I was delivered, and my father was actually visiting his own child and his grandchild as well at the same time. But, Madam Speaker, across the Territory, in Alice Springs and Tennant Creek, Catherine Grove, and in remote communities, public maternity services are the backbone of our care. And I can also attest to that, as I have actually visited the Grove Hospital and gone through that maternity ward. Throughout that ward, there are many photos of wonderful babies that were born there. Each year, they put a montage of all the families and their babies, and you can walk through there and see the timeline of all the babies that were born in the Grove District Hospital. But in many of these regions, private maternity services simply don't exist. Public hospitals deliver hundreds, and in some cases, thousands of babies each year, meeting routine and complex maternity needs with professionalism and care. This is why the loss of a private maternity services at Darwin Private Hospital matters, but it's also why the Territory response matters even more. And Madam Speaker, engagement with the community has been ongoing. The Minister for Health, Minister Edgerton, has met with the Birth Our Voice group to hear directly from mothers and families about their concerns. The NT Health has also met with these groups regularly and ensuring voices are heard and concerns are addressed. At the same time, this government continues to engage with the Commonwealth, and those discussions are still underway regarding infrastructure funding to improve maternity services, and Minister for Health, Minister Edgerton, will be meeting again with the federal health ministers to continue constructive discussions about Commonwealth support for our territory. We're also working closely with the Commonwealth on the HealthScope sale process to ensure those Territorians retain real choice between public and private healthcare. The government has also supported the national approach led by the Commonwealth Health Ministers, where HealthScope entered receivership. The government did so in faith and in its best interest for Territorians. Throughout last year, we were told that new operator announcements were hopeful by the end of the year, but this has not been delivered. This ongoing uncertainty affects patients, families, staff, and the broader health system. And once a new operator is known, we will engage directly and fight for the return of maternity services for our female Territorians. Madam Speaker, Territorians do deserve better, and the Minister has been advocating for this. The CLP government firmly believes that as part of the resolution for the HealthScope sale process, privately run and managed maternity services must be restored at Darwin Private Hospital under whatever new ownership is established. Until that happens, we'll continue to ensure that public maternity services are strong, well supported and responsive. We will continue to back our midwives, we will continue to invest in safe care models, and we will continue to fight for choice. Because choice of maternity is not a luxury, it's a fundamental part of dignity, autonomy and healthcare for our females of the Territory. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for 𝘔𝘔𝘵𝘺.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise today to speak about this very important MPI on maternity service in Northern Territory. This is an important conversation because maternity cares about families at their most vulnerable, about women, babies, and loved ones, relying on the care, skill, and the compassion of our health system during some of the most important moments of their lives. Madam Speaker, I would like to begin by commending the maternity services at Royal Darwin Hospital for the exceptional care they provide to families across the community. Too often in this place, health is discussed only when something goes wrong. Today I want to take the time to recognize when things go right and the outstanding work that is being done every single day by anti-health staff. Madam Speaker, a Darwin mother recently shared a story with me. She has given birth 4 times, twice interstate and twice here in Darwin. Her interstate experiences at a large and well-known hospitals were deeply distressing. She felt rushed, unheard, and unsupported at a time when she was already anxious and vulnerable. Madam Speaker, her experiences at Royal Darwin Hospital, however, were completely different. Each of her pregnancies here came with very different needs. Her first pregnancy in Darwin was complex, and she began that journey feeling understandably anxious. Yet the care she received throughout her pregnancy, during birth, and in the postnatal period was unlike anything she had experienced before. Even when she faced serious challenges, including heart complications for herself after birth and feeding difficulties for her baby, she recalls turning to her husband and saying, "I can have another 10 babies here." Madam Speaker, she described the follow-up care as exceptional at the Royal Darwin Hospital. She felt supported, listened to, and genuinely cared for every step of the way. And when she returned to Royal Darwin Hospital 3 years later to welcome another baby. She told me the experience was even better the second time around. Madam Speaker, that is the impact of quality maternity care. That is the difference made by skilled midwives, compassionate nurses, dedicated doctors, and support staff who put families first. I can also speak from my own personal experience, Madam Speaker. Both of my beautiful children were born here in Northern Territory at Royal Darwin Hospital. Even though my family had a private health insurance, we relied on the public maternity system, and our experience was extremely positive. With our first-hand child, things did not go as planned. Shortly after birth, our baby needed to be admitted to the intensive care unit and spend the first week of her life there. Madam Speaker, any parent who has been through that experience will understand the fear and anxiety that comes with it. Those first days should be filled with joy, but for us, they were filled with worry, long hours beside an ICU cot, and constant sense of uncertainty, almost a week, Madam Speaker. What carried us through that week was extraordinary care and dedication of Royal Darwin Hospital staff. The doctors, nurses, midwives, and ICU staff were there around the clock, not just doing their jobs, but genuinely caring for our child and supporting us as parents. Every hour, every minute, someone was checking, monitoring, explaining, and reassuring us. Madam Speaker, they took time to walk us through what was happening because it was first time for us. They answered our questions patiently, even when fear meant we asked the same questions more than once. They never made us feel rushed or dismissed. Even in the middle of the night, there was always someone there, watching, responding, and making sure our baby was safe. Madam Speaker, the level of attention, professionalism, and compassion shown during that week was truly remarkable. It was not just clinical care, it was human care, Madam Speaker. That experience stays with you for a life. Madam Speaker, when our second child was born at Royal Darwin Hospital, the experience was again incredibly positive. The same professionalism, the same kindness, the same reassurance that our family was in good hands. And do we know why, Madam Speaker? Because Royal Darwin Hospital staff earned our trust. This is why I speak so strongly in praise of Royal Darwin Hospital staff, particularly our midwives, nurses, and doctors. Madam Speaker, midwives are there at the beginning of our life. They support women through pregnancy, birth, and critical days after. They form trusted relationships with families at the moments of joy, anxiety, and sometimes great fear. They do this work under pressure. They do it despite workforce shortages, and they do it in a system that has been underfunded for far too long. Madam Speaker, the Minister has constantly stressed since coming into the government, anti-health has faced long-term underfunding, placing real strain on services and staff across the territory. Despite that, our maternity teams continue to deliver high quality, compassionate care for territory families, and they deserve our respect and gratitude. Madam Speaker, it is also important to acknowledge the disruption caused by HealthScope's decision to close Darwin private hospitals, private maternity and birthing services. This was a commercial decision taken outside the control of territory families and frontline staff, and it caused understandable disappointment and frustration, particularly for women who pay private health insurance premiums and expected to access private maternity care here in Darwin. However, what must be recognized is that anti-health stepped in when HealthScope stepped out, Madam Speaker. At an operational level, anti-health worked extremely hard to ensure the transition of private maternity patients to Royal Darwin Hospital was managed safely and to the highest standard of care. While these arrangements could not fully replicate the previous private model, they provided comprehensive, safe and supportive options for families during a very uncertain time, Madam Speaker. Many families have expressed appreciation for anti-health staff, particularly praising midwives, lactation consultants, and domiciliary support teams for going above and beyond to provide care. Madam Speaker, I also want to highlight the importance of the midwifery group practice and home birth services operating across the territory. The midwifery group practice provides continuity of care, something women deeply value. It supports women with complex pregnancies, women traveling from remote communities to give birth, and women with normal risk pregnancies, planning home births. This model improves outcomes for families and supports sustainable working conditions for midwives. Home birth services in Darwin and Alice Springs also continue to operate, with safety always the priority. Where staffing pressures exist, anti-health ensures women are supported through hospital birth centres, Madam Speaker. Maternity care in Northern Territory extends far beyond Darwin. In Alice Springs, Tennant Creek, Catherine, Go, and our remote communities, public hospitals are the backbone of our maternity services. In many parts of the territory, private maternity care has never existed, and anti-health has safely supported families for generations. Madam Speaker, Royal Darwin Hospital alone delivers more than 2,000 babies each year, and it has expertise and capacity to safely manage increased demand. Madam Speaker, we all agree that choice in maternity care matters, and private maternity services play an important role alongside a strong public system. That is why I want to make a genuine call in this House today. I recommend that the government and the opposition work together in bipartisan way to advocate for stronger Commonwealth support for Northern Territory health services, particularly maternity care. This should not be about politics. It should be about outcomes, as Member of 𝘔𝘦𝘵 said earlier. If we speak with one voice, work constructively, and advocate strongly in Canberra, we can secure better funding, better workforce support, and long-term certainty for territory families. Madam Speaker, Royal Darwin Hospital's maternity services continue to support mothers and newborns with compassion, professionalism, and specialized care when it is needed most. Madam Speaker, on behalf of my family and behalf of families across our community, I thank every midwife, nurse, doctor, and support worker for their vital work they do and for the differences they make in our lives of Territories families at such an important time. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for Karama.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And look, I wasn't really going to speak on this topic, but having listened to a number of the stories from other members across the chamber, I'm inspired to just say a few words, because I must admit, from my perspective, the birth of a child is a special occasion and it's a transformative event for new families that come on, new parents, and it's something that I certainly don't forget. I've been blessed. I've been blessed. My son 30 years ago was born in Darwin, but he was born under the private health system too, may I say. We were absolutely blessed. And I recall my wife, she had to have a caesarean to help deliver. She was very worn out and tired, and look, she was very well cared for. And I think, what was the, someone said to me, you know what, Brian and Mary Lou, my wife, what you've got to do is, when you have a child, learn to live tired. Learn to live tired, because you can put aside all that, because a child is, in some ways, the most selfish little being in the world, because it's all about them. And so it should be. So it should be. They want to be fed. They want to be changed. They'll let you know all about it. They'll crap their nappies when they want to, and you just got to deal with it. But I was also blessed, Madam Speaker, with the birth of my grandchild 7 years ago, also in the private health system. And that was a special moment with my daughter. And, you know, I know the member for Catherine now, and the member for Fanny Bay have now gone through having grandchildren. And that is another special moment. So let me say, I think the topic of this MPI is really important. It's a really important topic for all of us. And it is about giving parents a choice. Now, I think the member for Casuarina's highly accentuated that the public system is good. It's really good. But sometimes people do want choice. And particularly if they've got private health insurance, they would like that choice. Unfortunately, I share the frustration with these new mothers who wish to go in the private system and they can't get access at the moment. But let's be honest, what brought this about? This was the private owners going into receivership, as the Minister said. The private owners going into receivership. Now, if you're going to have a private health system, it's the private sector that runs it, not the government as such. So if they find that it's not commercial and they make a decision along those lines where they're going out the back door somewhere, then we've got to deal with that. And the fact is now we're looking to get new owners, and I know and I hear from the Minister, he is lobbying the receivers to say, if we get the new owners, we want them to reinstate private health services here. Now, that's a really good thing to do, but he doesn't control that at the moment. He's got to lobby for it. And I think what I'm hearing is it would be really good if the opposition would also go and lobby their federal counterparts and others to support the services. Do this in a unified way. I think we all want it. We all want the same result, the same outcome. And I want to make sure that people have choice going forward. But we've got to be able to do it, and we've got to accept that, unfortunately, it was a private commercial decision to shut down. It was not the government's decision. And we've got to deal with it, and we've got to go forward. And I wish everyone the best. And I certainly share the frustration of those mothers who wish to have it and can't. I wish we could turn it over in one day, but I can't say we can do that. But our prayers are with you. We do have a very good public health system there, and I just wish everyone the best. Thank you very much.
Member for Arafura.
Madam Speaker, I stand today asking this government to do more for Territorians when it comes to maternity services. Healthcare wherever we live, in town or bush. Access to healthcare should not depend on where you live, yet across the territory, too many people are missing out on services. In our urban centres, one of the clearest examples of this pressure is in the maternity services. Mothers in our towns and regional centres are finding it harder to access maternity services, and many are flying in from remote centres. For many families, pregnancy and birth have become stressful experience, not because of complications, but because of the system that they struggle to cope in. Having a baby should be a safe, supported, and also be close to home. I remember when me and my partner, we've got flown in from Maningrida in the middle of the wet to have our first son, and we went and stayed at the 𝘚𝘦𝘳𝘠𝘳𝘵𝘠 hostel, the Aboriginal 𝘚𝘦𝘳𝘠𝘳, close to a hospital, and I was panicking, you know, when the water broke in the hotel. So we were like needing who we should get, and I understand that this rolls onto families and, you know, coming in and trying to find their way around and how this works, especially the new mums. When maternity services are under-resourced, it affects everyone, mothers, babies, families, and health workers who are doing their best in difficult conditions. Maternity care is not an optional extra. It gives babies the best possible start in life and supports women during one of the most important times that they will ever experience. The CLP cannot abandon maternity service in the Territory. The impact will be felt for years to come if the solution is not found soon. And I did advocate to go down to Canberra with the Health Minister on radio. I think me and Mr. 𝘔𝘢𝘵𝘦𝘳𝘠 and yourself, I think we were on Katie when I said that. Before I continue, I just want to give a big thank you to the health professionals, a bit like this member for 𝘔𝘠𝘕𝑛𝘳 expressed earlier, and health workers across the Territory for their hard work in going above and beyond when it comes to looking after our Territorians, the health and well-being of Territorians. Madam Speaker, I don't want to double down too much on the important messages my colleagues have brought up already. When it comes to maternity services, the Health Minister knows what he needs to do. He's known since he took the role 18 months ago, 16 to 18 months ago. Territory mothers are simply waiting for him to make a deal and act. I hope it's soon rather than later for our mothers who are waiting. Madam Speaker, maternity services aren't the only health services the CLP is not treating in the Northern Territory. They're also letting health services in our community down the front line in our communities. Our remote communities across the Northern Territory face a chronic lack of health services and health workers. Clinics are often short-staffed, services are limited, and people go for long periods without seeing specialised doctors, such as dentists, rheumatic heart, that sort of stuff. Too often, care depends on fly-in, fly-out workers, meaning there is a little consistency and lack of rapport built between the health services and the community. And trust is a big player in remote communities. When people cannot access basic health early, small problems turn into big ones. Chronic disease goes unmanaged, mental health issues worsen, preventable conditions become emergencies. This knock-on effects results in overcrowding in our hospitals, in our major regional centres and towns. This puts enormous pressure on emergency departments, hospital staff, and it leaves people feeling like the system is failing them. Madam Speaker, we often say in this chamber that the health is the foundation. Health is the foundation of strong community. And I believe that. When healthcare is working, many of the other problems become easier to manage. The CLP government cannot afford to be lazy when it comes to healthcare. If it wants safer communities and better outcomes, it needs to invest in health. And we are happy on this side, to advocate as well with you guys. In maternity services in our towns, in clinics out bush, and in the workers who keeps the system running. Madam Speaker, healthcare is not a privilege, it is a basic responsibility of the government. If this government is seriously about building a safer and stronger community and healthier community, then it must start by making sure Territorians can access health where and whenever they can out in the remote community as well. Thank you.